I think Jared has been working on a version of this project as long as I've known him. I think, does this date back to a Hack Your Own Language or Matthias'
8 years.
History of PL class?
It does, absolutely. I started this in Hack Your Own Language. If anyone's taking that course, Matthias was teaching. I was like, I'm going to write a music language in Racket, and
How long should that take? I should be able to finish.
yeah, a semester, maybe less.
Anybody else had a semester-long project that's going on 8 years?
I think that was the same year I saw talking RacketCon and said a language an actor did.
All right, Jared, you.
Yeah, give me 1 sec. I want to see if I can play this at the speakers, and if it sounds good or crazy.
You waited 8 years. I think we can wait a few more minutes.
Thank you. Whoa, it crashed my virtual organ. All right, I guess I'll be playing it out of my laptop speakers. I'll give it one more try, and then I will give up audio.
And this is the same virtual organ that we heard a hint of yesterday?
Yes, actually, yes. You heard it in Asher's talk, Prog Rock, and you'll be hearing it again, unfortunately not through the lovely sound system here, but rather from my computer.
That's very strong.
Can everyone generally hear that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Take the log too instead on the
It's a,
The lapel mic instead of on your speaker.
oh,
That group.
sorry.
okay. Where's the speaker?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. This one's going to be, all right, I'm putting on the full organ, so this could be quite loud. I'm not hearing out of that. That's okay. Maybe the stream can hear it. All right, so this is my setup. This is what we're rolling with. So, welcome to my talk on Tonart, my music composition DSL. And to start the talk, I wanted to perform a score that is written in Tonart. Now you'll notice it's suspiciously lacking in any notes at all. So that's kind of mysterious. But actually all the music is contained in these racket statements that are annotated throughout the music score. Now, no one has to know what this is or does, including me. I am just a performer, and that's beyond my pay grade. What I do have to know is that when I see racket like this, it means that the performer must take this expression and paste it into the REPL. And of course I have a slideshow going, and so I have go to slide performance directions. There's an important safety command here. If you can read this, tell the audience about the presentation. Okay, I planned on doing that anyway, thanks. And then another racket command to run. And finally, I can start the presentation, as if I needed permission. Good luck, and remember not to evaluate Omega. All right, so let's get started with this performance. So let's paste this in. I have no idea what this could possibly do.
Brad?
What's up? Oh no, it's fine. It's two statements. All right, and we're over in our creepy slideshow. So I want you to note that the presentation is currently in the key of E flat major. And also take note of this, but I won't tell you why. All right. Great composer steal. Obbligato reuse of Racket in Tonart. So this is my music DSL that I've been working on, as I said, for 8 years, as Jason made me admit. And it's written in Racket, it's embedded in Racket, and I'm so excited to be presenting it to a room full of Racketeers because I can actually talk about it in the way I want to talk about it, because it's using syntax objects and syntax parse and syntax classes in the back end. But I can't tell anyone about this because they don't know what that is. But you guys know. So basically I've stolen so much from Racket that it's like I'm so grateful for it because I couldn't have made this without it. It's practically criminal. Luckily, I'm in good company. The great composer Igor Stravinsky once said, "Good composers borrow, but great ones steal." Igor Stravinsky wrote Rite of Spring and Firebird Suite, like really famous pieces. And then another composer, Leonard Bernstein, who you probably know is the guy who wrote West Side Story, the music for that. He said, if you're a good composer, you steal good steals. So I think stealing from Racket is actually, for a music language, is actually culturally correct. And the last thing I wanted to comment on is the word obbligato in the title. That's also a music term. It is of a part in music, and it means, and this is an obbligato organ part in a Bach score, what it means is that part cannot be omitted. It's absolutely essential. Without that part, the piece ceases to be the same piece. So these are features of Racket that are absolutely essential to Tonart. Without them, Tonart would not be. To put it bluntly, it's the reason that I'm not going to write it in Python. So, right. So we saw this this score here, and we're going to open up another score, but it's not really. Oh, sorry. I forgot. There's one more command to run. I'm a horrible performer. There's a command at the bottom of the file that I need to go run. I forgot about that. My bad. Down here. This Racket command. Oh my goodness. All right. Let me run this Racket command. Again, it's another mystery. We'll run this. Yeah, sorry, I should have warned you. This performance, this talk is pretty experimental, so there might be some gaffes. Right, so we'll run that, and we'll check out our PowerPoint again. Now, it's important to note that the key of the presentation has changed to B flat minor. And what was before note to MIDI is now note to tone. So let's see if you can hear the difference when it plays eventually. There's a pause at the beginning for me to yap like this. And once that plays, you'll hear what it sounds like. So you can hear it's now playing out the synthesizer instead of the organ, and it's in minor. So that's pretty fun. So we'll leave that on as background music. All right, so Tonart is all about composing music. It's an abstract syntax for music scores. And if you look here, this is a Tonart program. But again, I've stolen tons of things. Let me start by talking about a couple of things that I stole that are not in Racket. This score editor is called MuseScore, and I've been using it to write music since I was in middle school. I've obviously just shamelessly stolen it for my front end, for Tonart. And I've also stolen the piece that is playing. I didn't write it. It's a prelude by Johann Sebastian Bach. It's the prelude in E flat from Klavierübung 3. And I've pasted in the first 32 measures here. And this is literally what's playing right now in the background. It's this piece, this Tonart composition. So how did I actually make it usable in Tonart? Well, it was really quite simple. I pasted the score in, did not change anything. I added module system statements up here because Tonart has its own module system. I added Racket module system statements here. And I gave a name to the score. So, let's just do it now. I gave a name to the score. So, you can see that I'm actually playing the score. I can actually import this into Racket as a module and use the score and play it, which is what I'm playing right now. And to quickly describe how the name thing works, I set the name of the score to Bach E flat, and it captures the whole score up to this reset and gives it the name Bach E flat. To quickly explain, if I did this instead, it would only name the first beat Bach E flat. So that's how the set command works. It's a Tonart form. So that is our first Tonart score, and I've done no work at all, absolutely no work. Everything is completely stolen, from the front end to the score itself to the module system. It's all from Racket or other things, which is, I mean, honestly the goal. Like, the less code I write, the more likely the software is to work. So that's cool. How exactly do you get into Racket? We export it to music XML, which is an interchange format for music, like a serialization format, kind of like JSON. And then we load it in using a hash lang. Another quintessential feature that I use in Tonart. So we have this hash lang here, which is the music XML language. We point it to our music XML file, and it loads that in as a Racket module that I can use in Racket programs. So that's cool. I hope you think it's cool. And so now that we've seen a really simple score where we just want to like paste the score in, capture the score, and bring it in as one binding, let's look at a more complex score where we want to make a bunch of different little bindings and provide them all and then use them in different ways so that we can actually do some composing and not just play the same Bach piece over and over and over again. Right, so we'll head over here. Okay. So, I know this seems daunting at first, but I assure you it's very familiar because I'm still reusing material. It's the same piece, but I'm taking little pieces of it and I'm breaking them up so I can use them in different ways. So you can recognize this as the opening theme, the da 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 da. This is the nice thing about music. If someone doesn't understand, you can always sing it to them. And then they're like, oh yes, that makes sense. This next part is the ba-dum. Then here, ba-da-da-da-dum, ba-dum. And you can see I'm giving each one a name. Each one gets a binding. So da-da-da-da-dum is called descend. Ba-dum is very creatively called ba-dum. Da-da-da-da-dum is the descend to motif. And then this one's called dum-bum, because it's kind of the opposite of ba-dum. I don't know.
How that really makes sense.
This is the bass that goes under it, and then this is the next part. Da-dee-da-da-dee-da-da-da. Da-dee-da-da-dee-da-da-da-da-dee-da-da. But I only put it once because you can kind of hear it's the same thing 3 times. So we can derive one to the next without like copying it. That's the nice thing about being a program and not a piece of score paper. Nothing against score paper. I've used it forever. Okay, and then this is the accompaniment that goes under it. Don't worry about it. It looks dense. I've chosen a different abstraction just to show that I don't have to write everything in notes. So like for ba-dum and dum-bum, I used chords, which are an abstraction that I'm sure many people are familiar with or know in passing from like guitar, like pop music. And for this theme, I've selected scale degrees, which is actually an abstraction over notes, but you don't need to know the details of that. Just know that I'm using different types of music objects in the score than the ones that are natively supported, because it's Tonart, not MuseScore. So, yeah. So now, hold on. I cut off the program, and the organ is still playing. All right. You! All right. So now, I want to... So that is Tonart. That is a more sophisticated score. I want to show you how it's used in Racket. And the presentation is going. If it wasn't wild already, it's going to continue to be wild. But I'm going to show you it using the running code, and I have my reasons for this. But I'm going to show you specific parts of the code where I'm using it. And what I want you to get out of this is not like, I can go write a Tonart program now, and I'm now a composer, and I can make the next Beethoven 5. What I want you to see is that I'm actually genuinely using tons of features from Racket. I've stolen all of the syntax object interface and stuff. I've implemented a metaprogramming system that is quite close to macros. It's like macros for music. So I want you to get an impression of this and not actually know exactly what's going on. So, where do we start here? First of all, I have my music XML module imported. This one's called E-flat decomp for decomposition. It's the E-flat prelude that I've taken and split up into a bunch of themes like Descend and Badung and Descend 2, all our favorite collection of themes. Now I require that module into my main program here. And you can see right here in the imports, I've required E-flat decomp.racket, which is a Racket module containing all my themes. And because we're integrating with the module system, I can do cool things like rename in and prefix in, which, believe it or not, I don't think other macro systems can actually do that with their embedded DSL, so that's really cool that this just works. So now let's scroll down, and this is indeed the running program. This is the program that's producing these windows here. And let's scroll down to the important stuff. So first of all, just to prove, this here is the slide frame that has this slideshow running in it. I can go through the slideshow and stuff, blah, 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 blah. Now this stuff here allows me to hit keys on my keyboard and play the little cut up themes that we saw. So I'll show you that. If I hit A, you can hear it plays Descend. And if I hit S, you'll hear it plays and then D. So you can see I have all the themes broken up here, and I can reconstruct the piece by hitting keys on my keyboard. I can even change the key, hitting keys on my keyboard. Watch here, watch here, watch here. You see it's E-flat major, and now it's B-flat major. There's a race condition in my GUI. But you can see now it's in B-flat major, and you can hear the difference. You can hear that it's changed keys, and so I can do things like that, and I can change the back end. Watch here. Remember that this was happening before too, and you can hear now you'll hear it quite clearly. I hit that one a little early, and now a little late, but you can hear it. So it's pretty cool that you can do all that stuff, I think. But anyway, so that's what's actually running. So now I want to show you a little bit about how it's actually running that way, and show you how I'm using Racket to make this happen. Okay, so here you can see the key map pretty clearly in this DSL. We've got the name. This is the key A being mapped to the Descend theme. This is the key S being mapped to the Badung theme. The key D is mapped to Descend 2, and so on and so forth. And that's fine. But you're probably wondering, what is this post E-flat thing here? So one of the interesting things about Tonart is it's equipped with a metaprogramming system as well. And this metaprogramming system is meant to model operations that I would always do in MuseScore, like highlighting a region and deleting the notes or moving the notes up and down. These are things that you can do in MuseScore, but not in a programmatic or modular way. And certainly not in an extensible way. You'd have to write a plugin to add new transformations and stuff. So I used my Racket experience to devise a metaprogramming system that felt like macros, but worked on music scores. And it's called the Tonart rewriting system. And the way it works is when you trigger a rewriter, such as post E-flat, it acts on all of the score that has been written already. So all the expressions to the left. So post E-flat is acting on E-flat Descend. And post E-flat here is acting on Badung, and here it's acting on this. And if you look here, it's acting on Wander, which is one of, remember, Wander is the da-dee-da-da-dee-da-da theme. It's acting on that, but it's not acting on this or this. The way that rewriters play out is their functions from syntax to syntax. So far so good. Sounds like a syntax transformation. But they also receive the entire score that's been written already via a parameter as context. And so they have access to the whole score. And rewriters can add as many notations as they want to the score. They can remove as many notations as they want to the score. They can be applied to a specific area of the score, but they can actually produce expressions outside the area and delete expressions outside the area. They're extremely powerful beyond belief, and with great power comes great responsibility. The reason they're so powerful is because music is just, oh man, it's like the context is all over the place. This depends on this thing over here, this depends on this thing over here, and so on and so forth. It's inherent in the domain. So why don't we check out what post E flat is actually implemented as. We'll tack the arrow on. Actually, we'll untack the arrow because it's kind of distracting. But it's right up here. I've defined it right up here. It's a very lightweight abstraction. You just define our rewriter, the name of it. And as you can see, it is, as I claimed, and this is running code, it's a function from syntax to syntax. And so the syntax it receives is post E flat, much like a macro. Now this one is very simple rewriter. I've used it as basically like what you would use define syntax rule for. And all it is it's just a group of rewriters I wanted to run, and I didn't want to keep pasting them over and over and over again, so I just grouped them together in this little post-processing rewriter. And just a brief brush over the details. We set the key, we abstract the notes into scale degrees, we abstract the chords, we delete the key, and then we shorten it because it comes in at too slow a tempo. The purpose of this, I'll just give you the purpose, is notes are not dependent on the key. So do you remember how when I changed the key, the music changed? Like I could play it, then change the key, I play it again, it's changed. That's because the music is rewritten from the note music that we wrote in MuseScore, which is not context sensitive to key. If I left it as notes, it would never change, even if I changed the key. But we rewrite it to scale degrees, which is context sensitive to the key, and now the music changes when we change the key. So that's what this rewriter is doing, that's it. Now, I want to show you as well, well, let's pause here and take a breather, mainly for me. I wanted to show you a rewriter that actually uses all these features, but again, it's so densely tied to music theory that it's very hard to describe it. So I'm going to show you a library rewriter, but all I'm going to talk about is where it uses Racket. So if we go into this library, like where it uses Racket features. So if you go into this is my actual standard library that we're looking at. So this is actually production Tonart code. We have a rewriter here, and remember how in our E-flat post rewriter, we did note to scale degree. This one goes, we did note to scale degree O. This one goes the opposite direction. It goes from scale degree to scale degree O, which is, the other one was abstracting notes, and this one is instantiating scale degrees. The details of that really don't matter at all. Just know what it's doing is it's rewriting all scale degrees in a piece, and it's taking a contextual octave and attaching it. And what you can see is we're actually going to syntax parse the scale degree. So scale degree is a music notation, but it's actually a syntax object, and we're using syntax parse on it. And we're going to parse it with a syntax class, okay? And then we're gonna do some processing on it. We're gonna find the octave and attach the octave. And when we're done, we wanna put our new syntax onto the score. So we write our new syntax object here, but we use this QQ-art form, which is a quasi-syntax-like form. So you'll see this pattern of syntax parse, use a syntax class, do some processing, and then quasi-quote syntax and output your syntax. It's exactly like writing a macro, which is awesome because you're like processing a music score, but it's like it's using macros. And just to explain briefly what this does, it's quasi-quote, but it also copies the source location over from the scale degree to this new scale degree. and it also copies the location in the score from this old scale degree to the new one, because we want to put the new scale degree in the same spot as the old one, because we're kind of like replacing all of them one by one. So that's ultimately what these rewriters do. We've got a metaprogramming system. It uses syntax objects. It uses syntax classes. It uses syntax properties in the implementation. It uses a quasi-quote form. It uses all your favorite design patterns, like in idioms and Racket. I truly got away with it, I think. It's all stolen. And so the last thing I want to do is go back to our mystery score, which is over here. And I want to briefly explain what was going on, why the piece kept looping, and why it kept going up, and why it kept going between major and minor, and why it kept going between the organ and the tone, like the synthesizer. So we'll move this over to here, and I'll show you this. So as you can see, we've got this context here, and I can change the key by hitting a key, as I told you. And remember how in the beginning, when the score was playing, the key would change as it looped. Each time it looped, the key would be different. The reason for that is because the Racket expression I ran is actually running rewriters in this context. The context is also a score, and it's a Tonart score, so you can rewrite it. And I was also rewriting inside of this context over here to switch it from note to tone and note to MIDI back and forth. And then the last thing I did was I told Racket, remember the score is called Mystery, I told Racket to perform the mystery score again. So what it would do is first I performed the score, then I ran this Racket which switched it to minor, transposed it up, and switched it to the tone back end, and then Racket performed the score again, got to the bottom, switched minor to major, transposed it up, switched tone back to MIDI, and Racket performed it again, and Racket performed it again, and Racket performed it again, and it created an infinite loop that would slowly but surely ascend up all the keys and provide background music for my talk. So that's all I have for you today, and it was super experimental, and I'm sorry if I lost people at various points, but hopefully we can continue this correspondence and I can keep explaining it. So thank you.
I can see how something like that could keep you excited for as long as it has. Questions? Please try and keep them in key of E-flat major.
It's really impressive what you've done. I'm not a music guy, so this is a little, I don't know, exoteric to me, but I think the goal of the project is that since you can write music as code, you can automate difficult parts like changing keys, and you can move pieces around and annotate where they come from and have more context information on them. Is that like why you're doing this?
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yes, I can compose. I can put pieces together, combine them, break them apart. Yes, stuff like that.
Amazing talk. I was wondering, my understanding is that you have applied your understanding of the nature of programs to the nature of music. But how has the nature of music changed your understanding of the nature of programs?
Oh, wow, that's a very deep question. So there's something very magical about score paper in that it's been used for 1,000 years. It's sort of like the original extensible DSL. Because people in medieval times started out writing certain like weird shapes on there and stuff, and then over the years, people added notes, people added chords, people added squiggles and like music Asher listens to, people added crazy stuff like drawings of cats, and so it's like there's just this baseline like voices and beats, and then on top of that, people keep adding notations, and I'm thinking about this like, wow, this is the most brilliant like extensible DSL effort. And it totally changed how I view DSLs and the social context around them and what they mean. Does that answer your question? Great, thanks.
So I've seen a lot of people doing work recently with programming environments where they're doing live music composition with code. You have a pretty cool programming environment. Is this something, would you consider programming first or a programming first approach to writing music?
Yes, next question. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, absolutely, because so much of what you do when you're composing in scores is actually you're compiling in your head and then writing it down on the score. What you really want to do is write down the idea and then have something translate the idea into the actual performance that you want to give that shows off the idea.
Awesome. Thank Jared one more time.